You're listening to Faith in the Classic Lounge on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja.
Studio, and she is here right now. We have in the studio Honorable Abike Dabiri. She's the chairman. Erewa, yes, I'm sorry, I missed that. She's the chairman for the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you, Faith.
I'm glad to find that. I mean, I have been after this for a long time, so yes, it's great, to finally have you here. I want to start off with something really positive because I know that you've made comments about this, and that's talking about the remittances by the Nigerians in diaspora. Over 25 billion, you said have been remitted so far, to Nigeria in 2019 alone. That is huge.
It is huge, and the third largest in the world. It is huge, and what we now need to do is where is this money being channeled to? So it goes to basic needs, paying fees, medicals, taking care of families. So we're hoping to have a diaspora investment trust fund where Nigerians in diaspora can actually have a fund where they can put in their money if they want to invest. And then we also realize that we're not talking of the informal channels. Oh, Faith, you're going to Nigeria, give my sister $200 and all that. So we need to look at all those things, working with the relevant agencies to see how we can now channel into, productive sectors of the economy. So yes, it is huge, so they cannot be ignored. I'm talking about almost more than half of the budget of the nation,
which is kind of like almost more than what oil, which is like how a major source of revenue did bring in. So it is definitely huge. And there was an investment summit for the Diaspora Summit last year. Let's talk about that. Was the second one. Yes. So I take it it's going to be a yearly event.
We hope so. In fact, already we've started planning for the next one, which will be 2nd and 3rd November. It's going to be in November every year. And already we are getting people who want to participate. And the good thing is the success stories. So those who participated last year, this year, already looking at areas of investment. So we work with the Nigeria Investment Promotion Council. A lot of them are focusing on agriculture, education, hospitals, healthcare.
That is interesting.
Yes, healthcare. And
seeing that's where we have the most migration of doctors.
So you find doctors now saying, let's set up something. Like we were in Imo State, amazing. This hospital called them Region Stroke Hospital, the only type in Nigeria. In fact, maybe in Africa, where it has everything about stroke, epilepsy. It's got equipment that nobody has in Nigeria. In fact, it's already taking patients from South Africa, from Cameroon. But we're not talking about those things. So the commission will profile more of such and bring to the public. Also in Imo State, we have a guy, Shanghai Engineering. He's manufacturing PVCs, bulletproof doors in Nigeria rather than.
That is fantastic.
So so a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora are saying they need to invest at home, and it's also the wisest thing to do.
Absolutely. But talking about investment at home, you see these reports, especially on social media. People say, oh, my friend came back to Nigeria to do investments, and there are too many issues with investment in Nigeria, setting up, running your business. How is a Nigerian diaspora that's NICOM that you had? How is it working with, whether you're talking about Ministry of Trade and Investments and all of that, to try to ease some of this? And how many of them do you see?
There are issues, but we're now better in the ease of doing business.
Yes.
So we're getting better under this administration. There are issues, but what we try to do is, how can we help you with those issues? The realistic ones we can. Somebody called me and said, well, I want funding. I mean, you're supposed to come and bring in your fund. He says, I want funding. So the realistic one, the bottlenecks we try. But you see, there are issues, but they're getting better. And where we can help, we help. But you see, we're looking at foreign direct investment. And what we're saying is that our diaspora should be our first line of contact. If the Indians, Chinese are investing, why can't your people in the diaspora that are investing in other economies? Now, another interesting thing, blacks all over the world, the African American wants to invest in Africa. They are tracing their roots. They're saying this is home, and they are coming back to say, what can we do? Even in terms of helping out, they want to help out with something. They want to invest. They want to do a lot of things. So, and for the Nigerian diaspora, one of the major areas is in housing. So we're working with the Federal Mortgage Bank to have a diaspora house mortgage program, where you can, wherever you are, you can decide on this house, and then you pay a certain amount, and then you pay through mortgage. And so there are different programs, but the key thing first is to have a diaspora policy. So we've given it to the Federal Executive Council, and hopefully we get it ratified in the first quarter of this year. I hope and pray. Fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, can you tell us what we can look forward to in that policy?
It's holistic. It deals with every aspect of diaspora. So diaspora is about human capital development. So all areas, whether it's foreign affairs, trade and investment, science and technology, education, health, export promotion council, NIPC. So it states the rules of each agency. Like, take labor, for instance. We're talking now a lot about trafficking, labor migration. How can you make the diaspora going? How can you get them to be properly employed? Now, you want an employment, skilled labor. You know, how can you transfer skilled labor rather than having people, they want to work and then they get into trouble? So a whole lot of things. So it's a holistic policy document that will guide all diaspora engagements. And then ministries should have diaspora desks. We have about 17 states that now have focal persons on diaspora. 2 states have commissioners.
Okay.
They don't have special advisors, SSAs. So we have 17. We'll be meeting with them very soon so that we're all together, because we have to move to the subnational level. It's not just the federal level. Take, for instance, those who came in from Libya, from South Africa. What we did was profile them, and then the states received them. They come from states. So we now have focal persons on diaspora in 17 states. So I'm sure subsequently we have in all the 36 states.
36. You're working with all the governors.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because you need to move down to the states, even local government. India, that has done so well with its diaspora, even moves to the local government level, so you are from what local government are you, Faith?
Isoko North.
Okay, imagine your Isoko North brother and sister in the diaspora going back home to do something, going back home to invest, and we're going to come up with a program called Invest in Your State.
Oh, that is fantastic. But talking, I mean, you made mention of, African Americans coming back home, trying to trace their root and things like that. One of the biggest things in Africa right now is what's happening in Ghana. They call it Year of the Return. I want to ask, because you talked about that, so I thought it was a good place to bring it in. What are we going to do?
Door of Return 4 years ago, though on a small scale. You see, Ghana has been dealing with diaspora for 13 years. They gave 130 American citizenship. That's huge.
Yes.
But what we did was 4 years ago, as SSA Diaspora, we started what you call the Door of Return. Nobody has done that. Now, that Door of Return, you actually walk through in Badagry, that route, the slave trade route, and it's very emotional. Then they walk back and they are received with the whole community through a Door of Return. You went as slaves. Your ancestors went as slaves. You come in as kings and queens, and they come in. We receive them as kings and queens, and then they get their Nigerian names. They are so excited about it. And then what we do is a physical connection, a spiritual connection, an emotional connection, and an economic connection to the motherland. Now another group is coming in March, another in October, and they are saying, we've been here once, we've been here a second time, we have faith in this country, what can we do, where can we invest? So what Ghana did is fantastic. But you see, why when you talk about Ghana, first is there's no competition or no comparison. What we need to do, Africa is huge enough for everybody.
Yes.
Whether it's Senegal, Akon is building an Akon city in Senegal. So the call should be to all Africans in the diaspora, come home. So even beyond the Nigerian diaspora, those of you that were taken away as slaves, your ancestors, now you're getting to know where you came from. Some say we don't even know where we came from, we're Africans. Some say this is my DNA, I'm coming to where I came from.
The reason I brought it up is because I feel that there's a lot of potential, a lot of things that can be untapped. When you look at that, if the commission is working with like the Ministry of Tourism, for example, to make sure that, you talked about Door of Return. It's not something that a lot of people have heard about, even in Nigeria, for us to be able to push it.
Yeah, don't push it. Important. You know why you start something, you don't want to over push it. We've done the first, the second, the third, that you've built more confidence. So we started with 25, then moved to 40, because Badagry can't take too many people. With the hotel there. So now it's going bigger and better. So with the Lagos State Government, Ministry of Tourism, we hope to make it bigger. But the thing is, we started something. And you don't start today and
hope that it
doesn't fail. So, but now you started something. It's there for the records. It's history in the making. And what I'm even saying is that Africans now, we need to work on developing the African continent. As long as you're a black man, wherever in the world, as long as Africa remains underdeveloped, the world will look down on you. So Africans all over the world need to come together to do something on the continent. It doesn't matter where you choose, whether it's Ghana or Gambia or Senegal or Benin or Nigeria. It doesn't matter.
That is a message that's been put out.
Home. is where your heart
is
should
definitely
be.
home. You also talked about the returnees from South Africa. I know that your commission, you said that you will be meeting with them soon. How is that coming along?
Oh yes, we have a program with Smeden. We have a program with Smeden, and about 50 of them who have shown interest in the Smeden program will be communicating with them and then reaching them with Smeden. Smeden has some small soft loans, I think between $1 million or something, so that you can help in setting up your businesses. Some of them don't want it. Some have what they're doing.
Okay.
Don't forget that those from South Africa are not like the Libya returnees. They had their jobs. They just got tired. The widow, was able to get $1 million and I think another 1.5 million. So I hope she's doing well by now. So the others, to particularly, and forgive me for that, the women and the children, they will be our first line of priority. So we will reaching out to them. So like I said, we're not going to leave them. So even after this, I hope that we have their phone number. Some we can't communicate with anymore. They change their number. But those who want to communicate with, they know how to reach us. So we will see and monitor their progress. And then 3 states have still not reached out to their citizens. We appeal to those states to reach out to their citizens. You want to give us the name of the states? They know themselves. So we reached out to them again. And there are not many. One has 1, some have 3, some have 7.
Which should make it easier, because there are a lot of people you're dealing with.
Imo State was the first state to reach out, and they had the largest number. They received them, they profiled them, gave them 100K each, and now started saying, okay, what kind of work can you do? And in particular, I think Kwara State is saying, listen, let's give you employment. So really, we keep monitoring, and I think that's the best way to go. It's not federal that should be employing. You belong to states, and there are not so many to deal with. So we continue to follow up with the states.
You talked about putting together a diaspora database. So how is that coming along? And do you have I know how busy you are. So do you have a calendar for meeting with different Nigerians in diaspora in different countries all over the world?
We will have town halls. In the year, we'll break them down. But basically, when the president travels, he always meets Nigerians in the diaspora. So that's an opportunity for us to engage with them. We engage with them, and then after the president's meeting, I follow up with them. But this year, the commission should have their own engagements. We had a bit, but this year we're breaking into about 4. I mean, funding is always a problem, but we try to work around it. That's why we make the best of whatever situation. And then with the world of technology now, we communicate, and then this year Nigeria will be 60, so we hope to have a huge Diaspora Day.
I know that you proposed. Yes, you proposed July 25.
No, I didn't. It's been on.
It's been on.
No, this should be I think for 15 years now, nobody knew we had the Diaspora Day.
Exactly my point. There are lots of things that that people need to know.
So we just came on board, arranged the last one. So, and people now were asking,
there's a Diaspora
Day. It's been on for I think over 12 years now, but we hope to make it bigger and better. And this year's one will be lit. We're going to have,
you're picking up the young people.
Oh yeah, you have to be in their world, otherwise they leave you behind.
I see your tweet, so I get it. Well, I mean, let's talk about one of the biggest stories that came out of this diaspora migration, labor, and all that. Story of Omolola Ajayi, who was tricked to Lebanon you're going to be teaching English, and then it became something else. I know that your commission was very, very involved in that, and you are also proposing a bill to the National Assembly about migration and labor and things like that. Let's shed more light on that.
No, I'm not proposing a bill to National Assembly. I'm working with the House Committee on Diaspora and Senate Committee to have a multi-agency team. The issue of trafficking really needs an emergency. So many agencies are involved. NAPTIP is the primary agency, because the key thing is, how do you tackle it from source? How do you get the traffickers? Listen, Omolola, people think she's back. She's not back. The girl that came back is another trafficker.
She's not
but
back.
she will soon be back. No, but she will soon be back. She will soon be back. But I'll tell you something. There are over 30 that have found their way to the embassy as I speak. Because with Omolola's, they all ran and went to the embassy. So we'll bring them back. But there are over 1,000 that have been trafficked to Lebanon. And if you're going to be getting more of them now, say, I want to come back. So we need to do what we did in Libya. and find a way of getting them back. But then you get them back. As you're getting them back, some are being trapped. So it's a serious problem, and it's an emergency. We need to save our young girls in particular from the dangers that they face, the lies they are being told from. So that's why the National Assembly will be getting involved. We need the whole country. Something drastic has to be done about it. And people say it's because there are no jobs. Yes, but also deception. Somebody shows you a picture and says, you know what, see the house you're going to get in 3 months. Yes. See the car you're going to buy in 3 months. So the lure of quick money is also there. Molola will be back, and hopefully she can play a major role in raising awareness against this lure of you get this and that. It's really not true. And then now Europe is getting tough. You want to migrate irregularly to Europe, is getting tougher. You end up in Libya, or you're sent back. So now you're looking at places like Cairo, Lebanon, African countries, Ivory Coast, Mali. Pathetic. You see young girls on the streets of Mali, young girls, and a lot of them, sad to say, from the southwest. Most of those people coming from Lebanon are southwest, Kwara, and all those states. So even those states need to look at what is going on and what needs to be done.
So it's also about the states, being more diligent.
Oh yes.
About
this. When we talk about, in those days, we talk about Edo, Italy. Not anymore. I think Edo, and then Edo has done something. Edo has taken control of the situation. A lot of awareness, a lot of issues going on, a lot of campaigns. Now we're getting a lot more from the southwest, Lebanon, Mali, Ivory Coast, and all that. You hear a lot of them speaking Yoruba, Kwara, all those Yoruba speaking states. So really, it's a national emergency.
It is a national emergency, because I remember speaking with the First Lady of Edo State. She was talking about how they have taken over. And
I have to give them credit for that.
So your commission is definitely working with NAPTIP.
There's a even immigration security agencies all have to be involved. It's a serious matter. How do they get out? That's the biggest question. They're not flying with wings, and a lot of them go through the air. You see, the Mediterranean thing is now very difficult.
Go through the air.
Yes. Okay. How do they get to Cairo? How do they get to Lebanon? They fly. So how do they get out? Who are the traffickers? Who are the people behind this? Take Saudi Arabia. With a lot of engagement with Saudi Arabia has stopped issuing visas for people that are saying, I'm going to domestic help. They don't do it anymore. So you find that there's lots of noise about Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia will give you a visa as a professional. But here's the thing. Even unskilled labor is needed. You need people who need this kind of labor. How do we make it regular and properly done? Again, that has to be the Ministry of Labor. So how can you go back to those days where you can say, okay, this is an agency, recognized agency. Hey, you're going to do this job. You fill a form. We know where you're going to work, and we know what you're going to do. If you're going to be, even Philippines, they don't say domestic staff, they say executive assistants. So we can work around it, but we're just starting, and we want to see how we can work with ministries, MDAs, to see how this can succeed.
Absolutely. Let's talk about diaspora voting, because I know that you have talked about that quite a bit, how important it is to get Nigerians in the diaspora voting. It wasn't possible last year, because we do not have the Electoral Act amended to accommodate that. How are we sure that this is something that can happen in 2023? I mean, if these people are remitting so much,
I really don't know. But I'm optimistic. I'm hoping now the campaigns. Now, the beauty about diaspora voting, Nigerians in diaspora themselves have actually taken it up. There's a group of them led by one of our diaspora leaders in the UK, Mr. Adeomole, who is having a huge event in Nigeria. Sensitization on diaspora voting, I think sometime in February. So they've created a website. They're really mobilized, and we'll be there to support them. So the more they speak out, it's about what you want. Absolutely. And as a citizen of Nigeria. So, and INEC says we're ready. And I'm even saying that the law can be amended in such a way that you do diaspora voting where feasible, as decided by INEC. You don't have to wake up and say everywhere, but you can start from somewhere. And we should be able to have the support of the National Assembly.
In the House, you are also the chairman of the Committee of the Diaspora issues. Let's talk about how passionate you are about this. Why are you so passionate about diaspora?
I'm passionate about whatever job I'm told to do.
That's basically it.
Yeah, so that was the job I was given to do. The KZN committee, and like when I was a youth corper, I was posted to the news agency of Nigeria. That's how I got into journalism.
Oh.
So I went to work, and dedicated myself to the job. I will learn to write a story. I'll show my bosses. They'll correct it. I go again on an assignment. I write a story. Nobody was telling me to do it. But I kept writing. I kept getting better. Then there was this day, there was nobody in the office except that youth couple. And they said, go and cover the story.
Oh,
and I was prepared. So by the time I wrote the story, it made front page news. I'm like, that's my story. And that's how I got into journalism. So for me, whatever you're told to do, put in your best. When the Diaspora Committee was set, it was like, what is diaspora? Diaspora what? But here we are today, and we give God the glory. So
okay, let's
hard work, no alternative to hard work.
That's great. You had a meeting with your contemporaries from India. Let's talk about that. You were talking about the fact that there's been a good example to follow about how to push this forward.
Yes, Indian Diaspora Day. I mean, they have the Indian Diaspora Day the day that Mahatma Gandhi returned from South Africa. So it's celebrated January 9 every year. They do it biannually, but every year it holds in every country around the world. Then like next year, everybody will be in India. So the next year, all countries around the world host, which we hope we can do the same thing too. So we're saying that we can learn a lot from the Indian diaspora. I mean, I'm always ready to learn. And then the Indian diaspora, some of the best in the world. The Nigerian diaspora, some of the best in the world. Imagine a collaboration between those two diaspora groups. It can move the world. So we're saying that collaboration, and it's beginning to happen. Whether it's medicine, imagine Indian doctors, Nigerian doctors, and all that. So we can have a collaboration. And then we also learned a bit from India and how they've been able to do with their diaspora. There's some differences. We do dual citizenship. They don't, So a few things. Also, we're always willing to learn from others. India is a good example.
We have had a few Nigerians, that are resident abroad, especially in the showbiz industry, come to Nigeria at different points. We have Nigerians that are in Hollywood, that are in the music business. Is there any way you're looking at working with any of these people, like ambassadors or something, so that they can help push?
You've given me a great suggestion, so we will work with them.
Okay.
Get some of them to be our ambassadors. We want to work with as many people. So that's a good initiative, because again, to help our image.
Yes,
again,
absolutely.
to help our image in the sense that we need to ensure that we sell the best. Now, any story on any international media will be drugs, fraud.
Yes.
That's not who we are. So we need to be telling the good stories about us as Nigerians, and we're beginning to do that. So we'll work with as many as we can. Our ambassadors in the Hollywood industry, in the music industry, in the arts industry. We'll work with everybody. So yes, don't forget that we're 8 months old, and these are there. By the time we had our first meeting with all focal points on diaspora, we'll come up with a few more of these initiatives. I want states to be involved. We want everyone to be involved. We want to carry everybody along, because we are really wonderful people all over the world. We need to celebrate that.
I mean, we hear a lot of Hollywood people say things like, "Oh, you know what? I need to visit Nigeria. I hear Nigeria is this and that and that." It's because of some of the things that we've had some of the celebrities from Nigeria, say. It kind of like.
And you also have those who will tell you, Nigerians who say rubbish about their country. Like I'm just coming from the Nigerian Defense College, and one of the participants, who is a non-Nigerian, got up and said, "Why do people say bad things about Nigeria? That since they got here, it's been amazing." And that is what you hear. So one of the things we are doing is come and see.
For
yourself. We're inviting people. We're making people come with their programs. They come and see for yourself and take a decision. So yeah.
Let's go quickly about. We're wrapping up now. I want us to look at of course, it was an offshoot of the border closure and things like that. Nigerians that are into trading in Ghana. Let's talk about that. What kind of engagement have you had with them?
We're in touch. They have an association.
Countries.
Well, different countries, different problems. With Ghana, the issue of traders and all that. We're in touch with right now there's calm. We're in touch with the Ghanaian Association. But in that particular one, even President Buhari intervened at the highest level with the president of Ghana. So we hope that this is the message. Let's live as brothers and sisters. When Nigerians are excessive, let's watch ourselves. But the key thing is, as Africans, if we are fighting each other, what will the rest of the world do to us? So we should work together as African brothers and sisters. And there should be more African traveling and trade within the African continent.
Well, I mean, I think that's why we have the AFCTA,
Yes.
that has been signed, by the president. Now, of course, it's not in effect yet, but hopefully that will open up. And then that's probably not perfect, but we'll wait until the Minister of Finance comes up with what is happening with the eco currency and a lot of other things to help trading and all that in Africa. I did talk about how passionate you are, and because every time I've tried to get you here, you're traveling, you are doing this, you're doing that. Catching you is really hard. I mean, where do you get the energy to do all of that?
Well, you try to balance. Life is about balancing. So when I'm not at work, I'm at home. Sometimes weekends you have to do your own bit, but you do it with a bit of sense too. So, and as a woman, you have the strength to balance.
Yeah.
And don't forget that with all this, you have family to take care of.
Absolutely.
You have a home to take care of. So it's about balancing and trying to.
So your multitasking skills come into play.
We all are multitask. That's why we are women.
Absolutely.
God's creature. Special creation.
Special creation. Are you going to ever get somebody to manage your Twitter, or you do it yourself? I want to find out. Do you tweet personally?
I do, but my children don't like it. Sometimes when I go, they say, when I get them, Mommy, what are you up to? I say, this thing is for all of us. It's for all of us.
Oh, goodness.
It's a way of communicating. I can share information, but if you say something nasty, I'll reply you. That's it.
I have noticed that. I have.
When I have time. Sometimes I don't have time. But Instagram, I'm not really on Instagram, but I have somebody managing it. But Twitter, and then I encourage government officials to do these things and communicate more with the public. You get insulted, but at the end of the day, you get to feel more. And for me, you realize that you are appreciated more. I mean, if out of 100 people, 90 say good things, they are sincere. So with the 10, you want to let them know, But when you're really nasty, then I give it back to you too.
The broad complaint about how they are maltreated as Nigerians. What is your commission, trying to do?
Well, we take each case on its own merit. Not even students. Just about
just
students.
In general, Nigerians.
Generally. So now they have somebody intervening. Look, if you commit a crime, you have to face the penalty. So we're not about saving, but I've received over 100 petitions and we've dealt with them. So now you have somebody to talk to deal with these issues, and that's what the president has said. The welfare of Nigerians anyway matters. So, and then talking about students, another major issue which we were still talking with NYC a few days ago. A lot of our students go abroad to substandard universities along West African coast. You leave Nigeria, so you are going abroad. I mean, the universities are the worst university in Nigeria is better than those universities they go to. But then they will say, okay, stringent measures, maybe they didn't make JAM, but then at the end of the day, they are going to substandard, unapproved universities. So a list of those universities should be out there, and they can't do their youth corps if they come back from those universities. Okay, so a list of those universities need to be put out so that Nigerians know where not to go. Yes, that's the Ministry of Education will be doing that.
You're listening to Faith in the Classic Lounge on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja.